This video describes the enhancements made to the dynamic demographic maps contained in Statgraphics 18. Statgraphics 18 can create three different types of maps. One type uses bubbles to show the value of a variable at various locations. For example, this map shows the population of the largest cities in the United States in the year 2010. A slider is available in the procedure that creates the map to interactively change the year at which the population is displayed. A second type of map uses colors to show the value of a variable within various regions on the map. Here I'm displaying the results of a cluster analysis that uses demographics of various countries throughout the world to divide them into various groups. A third type of map colors regions according to whether they're above or below a cutoff value. Here you see the departments in France divided into two groups according to whether the unemployment in a department is less than or greater than 11%. The analysts can dynamically change the cutoff value dividing blue and red using a slider on the Statlet toolbar. To produce a map in Statgraphics 18, you need to create several files. The first file contains the data that you wish to plot. For example, this file shows the population of the largest cities in the United States at different years. The second file you'll need is a boundary file, defining the boundaries of the regions that you wish to plot. Statgraphics 18 can use any BNA or SHP boundary file. We supply a few boundary files with Statgraphics 18, showing departments in France, United States, state boundaries, and also country boundaries for the world. You can find many other boundary files on the internet. If you're going to plot data by region, you'll need to build an identifier file that can match the data in your data file with the boundary regions in the boundary file. These identifiers are typically placed in a standard SGD Statgraphics data file. Finally, if you're going to plot data by location, you'll need a file containing the coordinates of all locations where data is available. Let's take a look at how I created that map showing the populations of the largest U.S. cities. You can see that I've loaded into the first data sheet of the Statgraphics data book the data that I wish to plot. The column called City has identifiers for various cities throughout the country. The columns 1790, 1800, 1810, and so forth show the population of those cities in different years. I've also loaded into the second data sheet the locations of the cities at which I have data. I have the locations specified in two ways. I have the latitude and longitude, and then I have the actual coordinates that I'll use for plotting. The only difference between the two are for cities located in Hawaii and Alaska, where I'm going to shift those cities from their original latitudes and longitudes to other locations where they'll show up better on my map. That shift, of course, has to match what's been applied to the boundaries in the boundary file. To create the map, I'll go to Statlets on the top menu. I'll then choose Time Series Visualizers, Demographic Map Visualization Locations. There are several ways I could have set up my data. I could have put all values for population in one column and created identifier columns for the cities. Or I could have put each sample, each city's data in a separate column. Or I could have put each time slice in a separate column. That third choice is what I've done with my population data. On the next dialog box, I'll need to specify the columns that contain my data, which are columns from 1790 to 2010. For the identifier, I'll put in city, and then I'll go down to the Browse button and find the boundary file that I want to use. In this case, it's a shapefile called US_states. When I press OK, a second dialog box will appear. This dialog box wants to know the locations on the map at which I have data. Taking columns from the second file, I'll put in the column called location for the location identifiers, X for the X coordinates, and Y for the Y coordinates. I'll then press OK, and it will create the map. It'll show me with bubbles, red bubbles, the size of the largest cities in 1790. Back in 1790, of course, you can see that the only place with large cities was in the Northeast, in the original 13 colonies. To see the growth of the United States, I'll go up to the Statly toolbar and push this button here. It'll now cycle through the years, and you'll be able to see the westward expansion and the growth of the larger cities. This sort of dynamic data visualization gives you a view that you couldn't see in a static display. If you're interested in some of the other types of maps, check out our other videos.